But good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Breakfast with a CEO. I'm your host, Matt C. Smith, and I'm joined with my co-host.
Ja, Oftedal.
Today, we have a fantastic guest. His name is Arild Spandow. Now, Arild is an interesting character because his family are all entrepreneurs. He comes from a family of entrepreneurs, a legacy of innovators, and he has been doing a fantastic job in getting his employees to understand the entrepreneurial mindset, activating them and allowing them to do things which are innovative, both for benefit of Amesto and themselves outside of that. So ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Arild Spandow. Thank you so much for joining us, Arild. We're excited to have you. This is a new podcast set up by the She Community, an organization that is there to promote and activate the gender equality and try to bridge the gap, because I don't know if you guys knew this, but the current gender pay gap and equality gap, they say will take over 250 years to equalize, to say men and women bringing up to the same level, which is something I find just absolutely fascinating. And
has even been set back now during COVID.
Yeah.
50 years.
Yeah.
Really? That's crazy. Yeah.
There's a question there, off script actually. How do you see that as a leader? I mean, hearing something like that, I mean, you employ how many people?
1,000.
1,000 people. And I mean, I guess you're roughly equal. What kind of split are you?
We did research on that, and we're about 50-50. And we actually we have equal pay.
Fantastic.
On all levels. So
wow.
we did on all levels research, and there was no gap.
Really?
Which is I was surprised, because I thought there would be some gap, maybe historically, but no. So it's not something we discuss a lot, because it's just not an issue with us.
Mm.
That's cool to hear. You should be very proud.
No, I was actually quite chuffed.
Yeah.
I thought, wow, that's cool.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah. Before we kick things off, Arild, there's a question we always ask every CEO on the Morning Breakfast Show, which is, breakfast is an increasingly important part of everyone's day. It's the start of your day, right? Some people lay their beds to set their day off with a win. What do you eat for breakfast? What do you have for breakfast, Arild?
Well, actually, I have this super mix that my sister gave me the recipe for, and it's berries, granola, it's yogurt or cottage cheese, some apple jam, and you mix it all together, and it's really good, healthy, and a great start.
Yeah, light, fresh, and tempting.
Yeah.
One thing I've never understood, Norwegians' obsession with cottage cheese.
Yeah.
What's that about?
Oh, that's really interesting. I don't know. I think it's maybe because it doesn't taste anything. I've found this new yogurt now that is made from coconut milk.
Oh, that's so good.
Really good.
It's so good.
And now it's sold out from the distributor.
Oh, no.
So,
No.
Yeah, so I can't get
Many people
get it.
discovered it, apparently.
Yeah, so which is good. It's a healthy. So I'm gonna now change cottage cheese for this yogurt.
Coconut.
Yeah. So next time I'll be giving you a different answer.
Okay, I look forward to that one.
So, but I would like to start with what we think is super interesting. Like Matt, you said you come from a family of entrepreneurs. As I understood, it all started with your grandma, Elsa Widerøe. So I would like to start, like, how has she impacted your family and yourself in your way of life?
Well, the honest answer is I don't really know, because impact is something it just happens. But I think for sure it's having had a woman entrepreneur. She was like the head of the family until she died when she was like 98. And she was, she was reading every newspaper every day. When I went to visit her, she would like discuss current events and the business. So she was always really interested. And, having a mother figure of the business as well as a grandmother is, maybe it has, I've never actually thought about that, but maybe it has influenced me in the fact that I actually have more female managers than male within the business.
Because you trust them more, perhaps. I don't
maybe.
think.
So maybe that has, influenced me in some way, that I really have experienced firsthand a woman succeeding building a business.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about your grandma?
Yeah. She's, she's really special. She was really tough, hard. She was a bit, very Norwegian in a way, a bit snobbish, although she didn't have any reason to be. But she just, she was quite, I had
Proud.
And I had, my father had to eat with a book under his arms and on top of his head.
What?
To eat properly so that
Oh
it
my
wouldn't
God.
move.
Yeah.
So that
Something
kind
you
of
still
woman.
Yeah.
keep in the domestic
Yeah.
family.
So now my son and my daughter have to do the same.
Yeah.
Which is So it's that kind of woman, but at the same time, very very warm.
Yeah. And very business-minded, because she started the first temporary recruiting company in Norway.
Yeah, and I think being a female entrepreneur in 1947 is quite different to what it's like today. In those days, you're not supposed to work really. If you did, you're building airplanes during the war or something. But so I think she was she was a pioneer in many ways, which is interesting. And of course, she managed to create and make a living for herself and her little family. And that was kind of the start. So it's significant in so many small ways,
Do you think she encouraged her kids, your father, to become an entrepreneur?
No, she wanted him to become a doctor, and my uncle did. But, she was very, in that sense, also traditional. So when she was going to retire, she was like, I'm just going to kill the company, She didn't have any ideas about what to do. So it was my father who said, listen, why don't I buy it from you? And I'll, and that was the beginning of his entrepreneurial journey. That lasted from 1980 to around 2000. Yeah.
But you have this line of legacy and of entrepreneurship in Norway. How do you feel Norway is set up for entrepreneurship? Is it an ecosystem that welcomes entrepreneurship, or what are your experiences with being an entrepreneur in Norway?
Well, I think we're getting there. I think we have historically, we've been fishermen and farmers and gatherers, not very versatile, So I think, in the last maybe 10, 15 years, slowly, we're migrated into being a good country for entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. But we don't have the history. We don't have the tradition like the Swedes do. They're much better at this than we are.
Why is that?
Yeah, why is that? I think, they've had family business traditions for a long time, Whereas in Norway, family, even though 80% of all Norwegian businesses are family businesses, we're not viewed as a family business country. Mm-hmm. Whereas in Sweden, they've kind of celebrated the family business thing for many centuries already. Mm-hmm. In Norway, it's always been, a bit like, you don't want to stick out. You don't want to tell anyone that, you're working in a family business. Mm. And that's changing now. Mm. So I think entrepreneurship is changing. I think it has to change. And I think we need to move a lot faster if we're going to catch up with the oil disappearing.
Mm. Yeah. So speaking about family business, how is it to work with your family, and how is it to be a leader in your family business? It's like you have to have a set of framework, or is it, is it honesty? What's the values? Yeah. Like, how do you make it work?
Yeah. Well, I think, you need to be allowed to let out some steam. We used to have this glass meeting room in the middle of our office where we used to sit, and, when we had our most heated discussions, the whole office would hear kind of the shouting and the screaming, and, we were like really screaming at each other. And so you can have these really heated discussions, but at the same time you have this knowledge that if everything goes to shit, your family will be there. They'll be there for you when it really, when the shit hits the fan. And I think that kind of support is something you have when it's your family, but because we're stuck together. It's all when the lines between your identity and your family's identity and the business, they will always be blurred. Yeah. So your business is part of your identity, and of course, then you stick together. Hopefully, and sometimes you need to split it up, but we've always worked at under the assumption that we're stronger together, and so that's why we've always pooled all our resources together into this, but we need to split it up. So my brother runs the kind of the real estate, the business. My sister, she works with both of us, but she's more on the social responsibility, and but she sits on all the boards, so she's the one who has most oversight. And then my father on the top, and then me working with Amesto. So we have our clear defined roles, and I think that works quite well.
So it's based on trust. It sounds actually like wonderful. You always got each other's back.
Yeah. And I think, we do have a lot of disagreements, but that's the kind of the essence of our family business is.
So if you have a disagreement, like how long does it take for you guys to make a decision, Decision making, like how do you do that?
It can take up to 2 years.
Wow. Yeah.
What took that long? Yeah.
Yeah, we're in
Red
one
wall or
now that we
paintball?
started
Yeah.
2 years ago, and we still haven't concluded. So we're in every meeting. We're like, okay, what are we going to do about this? But then also, we can make decisions within 20 minutes. So it's like sometimes you spend your fast money, your big money, very fast, and your dimes you save, and it's the same with us. We can make huge decisions in 20 minutes, and small decisions in 2 years.
Buying a new property, which is tens of millions,
Yeah.
1 hour.
Bang.
What color should the walls be?
Yeah.
2 hours.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we'll be. So it's that weird dynamic that you never really know.
But did you ever feel any pressure to become a part of the family business, or?
No, it was actually me who wanted in, because I remember I was working for Adecco actually, and my brother called me and he told me, today, what we made today, we made 20,000 on this one decision I did just now. And I was like, oh my God, imagine.
Yeah.
Making decisions and feeling the impact immediately on your own business. I was like, shit, I want to do this. So I called my dad. I said, I want in. Let's start a business together. We have this accounting office in Bergen. Let's not sell it to Visma. Let's build something. And he was like, why do you want to give up your career? There's nothing for you here. It's so small. You should build your corporate career and make good money out there instead of working with this little stuff. I was like, no, this is what I want to do. And then, so we started up. My dad and I in this rented office space together.
In Bergen?
It was here in
Oslo?
Yeah, in a shared...
How did you evolve your leadership style from that? So you previously working, you were sort of, I guess, a middle manager role in Adecco at the time. And, going from that corporate environment into sort of this, creating your own effective corporate environment that became... What leadership qualities did you learn, and how do you sort of lead today?
I think I've never actually aspired to be a leader. I never thought about that role. I've just gone with being myself. And I've seen so many, I saw that especially in corporate environments, how people behave as they think they should behave when they're a leader, and they become really fake. Yeah. And that doesn't earn trust. It doesn't earn respect, nothing. So kind of that journey just made me say that, I'm going to be myself. If people can like that, fine. If not, they'll find somewhere else to work, someone else to,
I think they say the best leaders are those who don't want to be a leader. Ultimately, those who, I'm not going to rule out those who are just born leaders and want to be a leader, alphas, effectively. But I've seen individuals who've taken leadership roles, whom never thought they would be in such a role, and have been the loved leader for decades of organizations.
Yeah. No, and it sounds maybe silly, but even my wife comments on when I'm having conferences and stuff with my guys, and then it's like, are you talking to them like that? Is that how you kind of manage a business?
That's not the Arild I know.
It's like, what they say, behind every successful man is a surprised woman.
Surprise one. But I would feel much more confident with a leader that actually were himself, that you can trust him.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
her.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think,
a parallel drawing from the family of entrepreneurs, right? You know, you've built up this inert, whether it's trained. I'm a big believer in nature versus nurture. I don't know where you guys are on that one. You know, you can be born into any environment, but how you're early nurturing around yourself and your development can shape who you are, right? So I can imagine there was some nurturing there. This patriarch, your grandmother in the family, your father running this business himself, successfully in certain ways towards the end, I think, but not always, right? You then taking that journey, your brother, your sister doing their thing. Now, you mentioned some interesting things to me about Amesto and activating entrepreneurship, right? Like you mentioned, the Norwegian mindset is somewhat stagnated sometimes by janteloven and just, like your father's opinion, to go get a steady job and build your corporate career, right? Because there's so many companies in Norway, pay really well. A lot of our listeners, you at home, have great careers, great salaries in Norway. But you're doing something slightly not unorthodox, but if anything, it should be reshaping how corporate strategy is around entrepreneurship. What's your opinion on entrepreneurship, and what are you doing to activate that in Amesto?
Well, it started with the fact that we're a family business and we don't want external investors. So I never wanted private equity or venture money because we wanted to keep control. So how can we grow? And the one way we saw that we could grow was by having entrepreneurship as a strategy for development, growth, and innovation. So what we do is we go out, we find, or people find us who wants to start something, and we use our existing platform as exactly that, a platform for growth. So we'll tell them, you're burning, this is your baby, you're going to have 49%, you're going to build it, but you can use our infrastructure, you can use all our resources, and you can have access to all our clients. And if they can't build a business on that, well, it's not supposed to. It won't succeed without us either.
But is that something you tell all your new employees, or?
No, it's something. Well, it's something I communicate a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in fact, let's say we turn over 1 billion NOK. From that, maybe 35% comes from entrepreneurs. Wow. Or more.
So 35% of your organization's revenue is driven by you allowing employees to not do their job, but look for alternative ways to add value to your strategic core.
Yeah, and it's not only existing employees, it's new people coming in. I want to start this. If I see that this is something that can kind of fit into our model and make us better or move us from one position to the other, then that's interesting. Then we'll do that.
I want to come back to that, but just for a second, I'm looking at you as this leader of Amesto, these 1,000+ people. That's an undertaking in itself. You as a leader of Amesto, but you having 51% in all these smaller companies, do you adjust your leadership style depending on the size of the organization?
No, and that's back to I'm always just myself, but I think you need to be that because. We have something like 40 odd businesses today within the Amesto
that you all
umbrella
own 51%
that we all,
of.
Okay. Or 100%, or 70 or 80. So it depends. And of course, if you're going to manage this, there's so many individual meanings and strategies and aspirations and ambitions. You need to manage that in the same way. You need, like if they were your own businesses, we need to walk in the same direction. Doesn't, whether you're 51 or 100%, you still need to move the business in one direction.
But how do you create an environment for your employees to actually dare to become entrepreneurs? Okay, you say you communicate it a lot, but how do you structure that? Because so many people, or especially Norwegians, are so scared to fail or disappoint. So becoming an entrepreneur might be very, very scary. So how do you make an environment that feels safe?
Well, maybe because we failed a lot ourselves. I remember we had one presentation at one kickoff about all the businesses we started that actually failed. So the whole seance was about what fuck-ups we've had. And I think, by communicating that and saying, this is just, what it takes. If you don't dare, you're and people talk a lot about how failure is important. So I don't think that's something I've, invented. But it's out there, and it's highly relevant for what we do. And I think I see that our entrepreneurs actually fail fewer times than the startups we've had on the side. Yeah. So
Why is that?
So I think it's the fact that we bring in a lot of experience in how to run business. We bring in a lot of relevant issues when it comes to cash management, control, all the boring stuff that entrepreneurs normally don't pay attention to. So you'll often have a great case screwed up by the fact that they didn't manage their cash, or they didn't have, their papers in order. So
The 5 main reasons that startups fail, in order of the most common. Number 1 is founder disputes, actually. So I suppose you're sort of dispelling that because they're building a business with you, right? They get some of your time, not all, of course, but some of your focus, but also access to people in your company that have expertise and domain knowledge. Also, they're not betting the house because they're working for a master. They're safe, they have salary, they have building their career, and they get to do something fun on the side by working with these companies. So I can see a winning solution in that. The second most common reason is running out of cash. And that's mostly down to poor cash management, not knowing what to spend the right money on, not spending enough money on marketing at the beginning, spending too much. So I can see, the benefit of working with an organization, a corporate enterprise. For the benefit of everyone listening, entrepreneurship, we should break that down. What we mean by entrepreneurship is, you've probably all heard of entrepreneurship. It's definitely an overused term. And in a podcast we had the other day with Jen Lee Koss, we learned that there's different types of entrepreneurs. And there's no one set. It's not I'm an entrepreneur or I'm a corporate person, right? But entrepreneurship is sort of a blend of the two. Someone who maybe has that what if I did that, what if I did that, but they have, like all of us, the weighing down in life of a mortgage, of children, of things to manage. We have responsibilities. And I think, entrepreneurship is the future lifeblood of pretty much the GDP growth in most nations around the world, because it allows people within corporates with a safety net effectively around them, but not just a safety net, a support net. And that's the main thing. Not safety net, but support net. If you still, F up, you're still probably, you're going to F up. I'm sure you probably wouldn't be sacked, would you, Arild?
No, I wouldn't sack myself. Not yet.
But like you said as well, you've set an environment up, you failed many times. So, there's a sense of, like Uriah says as well, it's okay to fail, and fail quick, learn fast is a rhetoric we've heard so many times. But transitioning over to some examples that you've had. I mean, you mentioned some companies to me, some that want to stay in a Mesto, some that want to spin out. Give us some examples.
No, well, we have. Well, I can give you 2 examples. We have this company, Luke and Nathan. They came to me and they wanted to do something about integrations, and they had this brilliant idea how to make this box, so standard integration, and then integrate everything. And I was like, fantastic, we got to do this. So we set up this company, Connect My Apps, and they wanted to use their own brand, and so that was fine. And so they're kind of doing this and doing it for themselves, but within the Amesto, platform. And I think we've discussed many times. We could have gone to Silicon Valley. We could have got a lot of money, raised capital, and built a global start.
The traditional startup expected journey, right?
But Luke and Nathan, they were more like, well, we have a good life here in Norway. We have the kids, the family. We'd like to do this, from here and build it, brick by brick, without too much, and keep kind of our shareholding. And that's brilliant. I mean, for me, that's perfect. So we're building this company now, and it's going to be a success. I mean, these guys are making money, and they're growing by 50% year on year every year, and probably will increase. But they want to be in Amesto, which is great. And then we have Amesto Consulting, which was a company that started off. Came to me, the female founder, Marianne Vasco. She came to me and said, I want to do this. I think maybe we should do this together. So it's like, okay, we shared the shares, and then she built this business over 5 years to turn over 125 million, making
in 5 years.
5 years, 125 million turnover and a fantastic EBITDA. And then a Danish competitor came to me and said, this is really interesting. We're doing this in a private equity scenario. We'd like to buy the business because we don't have a Norwegian strong enough presence. And of course, when Marianne and Sindre, we talked about it, they were like, this is what we want, because, we can sell, get some cash now, and we can reinvest, and in 2-3 years they're going to sell it again. And it's for them, that's what they were looking for. And I couldn't sit there as a majority shareholder saying, no, you got to stay in Amesta. We're not going to get that money, and we're going to hope that sometime something else was come along.
But that's not a given. I think some leaders may have done such a thing. So it shows a level of compassion, that I feel like you get a sense of this family. We talk about family business, but not to overuse the term, but they're part of the Amesto platform, you call it. So let's take family out and platform. Amesto is a platform for companies like that to create and innovate, and then when opportunities like that come along, you as the majority shareholder are still going to go, hey, have your payday.
Yeah,
you're getting one too. So
yeah, I mean, to not have that freedom would mean that we couldn't scale, because you'd limit the kind of opportunities to only people who have no exit in the near future, only want to build with with me and my family, and that's too limiting. So I think it's about some innovations will succeed within and some will grow outside, and that's fine.
This is a podcast for She. We also have to touch on equality, of course. What are your thoughts on equality, and how do you work for this as a leader?
I think equality for me is not an issue really. People are people, and colleagues are colleagues, and I don't think much about it, but it's interesting because I have more female managers and leaders in my business than male, which and I can't explain why.
Perhaps it was your grandma.
So it could have been my grandma who influenced me in that direction, and they are more successful often than the male leaders. Not that I think that's there are so many factors playing in it, but it's just an interesting fun fact that they are more successful actually at this point in time. So that may vary. So and I think we have different qualities. I see that men and women are not the same, and I think to think that diversity means treating men, women, whatever diversity you are, in the same way, then you're not using that diversity properly, and you're not playing with using the opportunities that brings you. Because everybody's different, even men are different, So I think accepting that men and women are different, and people from China or the US or France are different to people from Norway, I think that's important to bring into the business. And don't treat people equal, because then you won't get the best out of them.
That's true. So that's how you want to encourage other companies as well to focus on equality. Those the kind of thoughts, or do you have any more as well?
No, I think and I had I don't know if you know Loveline Brenna, but she's very focused on diversity, and she gave me this aha, experience in terms of diversity, is the fact that you should actually, having a diverse organization and working with diversity means that you celebrate the differences, and you actually use them, and you don't hide them. You don't, people are proud. They say, we treat everybody the same in our company. It doesn't matter whether you're gay or, Muslim or Jew or man or woman, and that's not really diversity management.
What is equality to you?
It's respect. I think it's just respecting the differences and being able to put yourself in their position and understanding why they have their view. And I think when you have that respect, you can be as different as you like. It's actually a good thing to be different then. I think the problem comes when you don't have that respect and you start looking down on people who have a different view or different, That's where you get the battles. And that's where diversity becomes a problem rather than a strength.
We're in a difficult time right now. COVID. What is a Mesto Group doing to allow your workers to continue to work? And what is the new norm for a Mesto Group?
A good question. I think we actually have a project now called Futura, where we are looking at how will we be working in the future, given what we're going through now. And so I can't tell you what that conclusion will be, but I can tell you that I don't think it will be business as it was before COVID. And we're far too happy and efficient working from home. So I think, but I think we'll find some middle way here. And it's far more accepted now to join a meeting on video than it used to be. So, it's a good thing. Personally, I hate it when I have to go into a physical meeting because it ruins my day. Because it's
sorry about this. Yeah, sorry.
So I'm gonna go soon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I guess the mics don't travel very well, So.
I was hoping we could do this on Teams. But
yeah. we thought about it.
But I think it's brought to my kind of attention the fact. I mean, we work with health in Amesto. So we have this app that everyone uses, and we have competition between teams. They have to get 1,000 points every month, and they have to do so much exercise to get that 1,000 points. Now it's a really good thing. But during the COVID crisis, I've seen that one thing is you need to be healthy to be able to focus on your job. People who are sick, they think about how they can get well. They don't focus on anything else. And it's the same thing with financial stability. People with financial issues and troubles, that will eat up their mental capacity. So you need to solve that as well. And of course, with the COVID crisis, there are a lot of people who are affected. Some are being, taken out of their jobs. They have maybe not themselves, but they have a husband or a wife or some relative, and they're helping each other. So it's kind of spread. So we need to find a way as a business also to contribute, because one thing is for the government to give their, allowances and all that. But I think if we as a business can contribute not only to the well-being in terms of health, but also to the financial well-being, then we have a winning formula. So I've actually spoken to 2 banks now because I want to set up a fund for employees to apply for loans where Amesto can kind of contribute. But no banks so far have been willing to do this. There's not enough business in it for them.
Even though you're guaranteeing effectively the liability, right?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Why don't you set up a bank?
Challenge out there for any banks who are willing.
Yeah.
If you're listening,
That's a good idea.
Contact me.
Contact me. Yeah.
What is one leadership quality you think is most important?
Empathy.
That's something that came out of our conversations with the European hackathons that happened during COVID was empathy, having empathy for one another. And I think that goes quite far, because you mentioned how diversity and gender equality and all of that comes down to sort of us celebrating our differences, which is about having empathy for others. Another one, if you had one message to our audience to inspire them, to scare them, hopefully not, what would that message be?
I think the future is bright. It's all going to get better from here. That's my view. So I think, this is probably the future. We'll call this the Middle Ages in a way, where we were in the old economy where everything was dust and pollution and energy waste and poverty. And the future is going to be so different and so much better, thanks to technology and innovation.
Lydia, the future is bright at Amesto Group.
I sign up on that.
I sign up on that too.
Yeah.
Arild, thank you so much. What I would love to finish on is just wrapping things up in the things that I took from this conversation, and I know you at home definitely took some notes. I hope you did, because I certainly did. Entrepreneurship is driving 35% of the revenue at Domestic Group right now. So if you haven't already, business leaders listening to this, talk to Arild. He knows what he's doing. Activate your employees, give them a platform within your organization to do so. And I was amazed to hear, and this is not planned, by the way, that your organization, this podcast, of course, being supported by She Community, your company is 50-50.
Yeah.
By design, by default, and you were amazed to find that out.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you think is the cause of that? Other than what we've said about the potential kind of influence from patriarchal grandmothers and things like that, is there anything that you could attribute that 50-50 ratio to?
I think it just. I hope it means that my managers, when they recruit, they don't think about why or who. They just choose the best person, and I hope that's the reason that we have that culture for diversity and not thinking in the traditional way. I hope so, but I don't know.
Arild Spandow, CEO of Amesto Group. Thank you for joining us at Breakfast with the CEO. You're hosted by Uri Oftedal and Massey Smith.
Thank you very much.